All right, all right, all right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in again. We are back for another installment of the Ant Green Show Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Greenheart, and we got the usual suspects in the building, Harris, Jelanie, and Kenton. And in today's episode, we're going to be going into, of course, the Super Bowl review. What an interesting game that was. So we're going to have some good conversations, some takeaways from that, and also leading into next season, what to expect from some free agents. And then we're going to go into the NBA. We're going to jump right back into the NBA, some trending stories, and also include a little bit of decades past to current in terms of some of our favorite players. And at the end, we're going to have a little I guess a feedback from our viewers to see what you guys think and see what starting five and what you guys would match up to what we come up with. But nonetheless, let's get this show going. So, guys, I guess the results of this game wasn't anywhere what anyone expected, but we had two good teams in the Super Bowl 55, Kansas City Chiefs versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Final score 31-9. I know there's a few people on here that had voted the Bucks, but I really want to get you guys' takeaways and hear what you guys thought about the game overall. So, Harris, I know you definitely were maybe a bit surprised, but like, what are your initial thoughts on the game?
Yeah, obviously not the most entertaining game from the standpoint of what we're used to seeing in the Super Bowl. But earlier in the podcast on episode 2, my prediction was that the Buccaneers would get at least like a 10-point victory. But I did not
Yep.
expect, a blowout in the fashion that it happened. I think it's safe to say no one expected that coming at such degree. And, ultimately defense wins championships. And the Buccaneers proved that again, especially what they were able to create throughout the game. I think on 56 dropbacks that Mahomes had, he was pressured 29 times. So that's
Mm-hmm.
almost like, well, that's well over 50%. So, I mean, they just
All it
got to him.
felt
And
like
that
it
was,
was all game. Yeah.
yeah. And that was without blitzing. I mean, they were just, rushing for, and they were able to create that pressure onto it. And Brady, on the other hand, I think he was pressured no more than 5 or 6 times. So it just really a tale of two spins. And it was just
Mm-hmm.
a Buccaneers defense that dominated from the start to the finish. I mean, if you begin, they went to Washington, they took care of Drew Brees and then Aaron
Yep.
Rodgers and then sorry, not Tom Brady, and then Patrick Mahomes. It was great. So definitely was
Mm.
not surprised to see the Buccaneers win, but I was surprised to see it in the blowout fashion that happened. And yeah,
Yep.
that was my take on it. I'd like to hear from Jelani because I believe in episode 2 he had mentioned I think the Chiefs was his prediction. So I
Mm.
just want to see how that what you thought about the game when you were watching it as well.
Well, actually, it was sad to see how the Chiefs were playing. Basically, they were missing two of their offensive linemen, so that played a big role.
Yeah.
Anytime you're
That
missing
hurts.
your starting tackles, it changes the impact of your offense, right? They just couldn't get anything going. Tyreek Hill was double covered, I think, almost every play. And like you were saying, Harris, the Bucks came with a good blueprint as opposed to defense, and defense does win championships.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like Mahomes running for his life almost every play,
Yeah.
and it was just tough. It was tough for them to get anything going. And I really thought in the second half, because Chiefs are usually a second half team, so I figured in the second half they would come back. But unfortunately, they just couldn't get anything like going. So it was
Mm-hmm.
tough to see, and also the penalties really killed them on defense. So it is
Yeah.
what it is. But it's not the end for Mahomes. He'll be back. The Chiefs will be back. It's just a matter of retooling and coming back next year stronger than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like just to
Mm-hmm.
quickly touch. I like what you said about the second half team because last year in the playoffs, they were down 24-0 to the Texans. They were down in the AFC Championship game too, and then they always find that spark in the second half, but they just couldn't get it done against this Buccaneers defense for whatever reason. Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah,
No, it was crazy. It was like you said, Jelani, like losing those tackles, you're vulnerable to getting rushed, and the Tampa Bay defense showed up where they need to. I know, Kenton, you had predicted for the Buccaneers winning. I can't remember the margin exactly, but give us some of your thoughts and, like, how you saw that all play out. What was if it was anything close to what you would have expected?
Well, for starters, I really didn't think it was going to be that much of a difference in score. I mean, the final score is 31-9, and I think in my prediction I had something closer to 24-21. So I didn't think it would be like I was saying. I was surprised that the spread between the two teams was so wide. I mean, 31-9. I think in our pre-Super Bowl predictions, I had them at 24-7. I thought it was going to be a much closer game. But it's funny because watching the game, I was never really under the impression. I mean, I knew that it was going to be tough, a tough comeback for the Chiefs regardless. But to be honest with you, until maybe halfway through the fourth quarter, I was so confident that the Chiefs may actually come back and pull off a run, man. That's just the type of firepower that they have on offense. That being said, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, as I said before the Super Bowl, I really thought that not having those outside tackles on the offensive line was really going to have an impact. I didn't think it was going to have that much of an impact. It seemed like whenever Patrick Mahomes was snapping the ball, he would run back 10 to 15 yards before he even looked downfield to make a pass. So I was really surprised at how much that the pressure was able to get to him. But I mean, in the end, if you look at both teams side by side, I mean, Tampa Bay is just a much better team. They have, if you look at the Chiefs side, they have the better skill players. Like if you look at the top 5 players at, let's say, the skill positions, tight end, wide receiver, and quarterback.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are obviously ahead of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on that perspective. But if you look at if you look at these teams side by side, I mean, Tampa Bay has a much better roster on paper. I mean, hopefully they can keep a few guys that are up for big contracts or up for big paydays come this off season. But I mean, as long as Tom Brady's ready to go, then I think that team's going to be competitive for the next little while. So.
Yeah, no, it's I see that the Brady effect is a real thing. Everybody's looking now, and especially in his career, how much better can it get? Leaving a franchise where he did so much, which leads us to really saying for next season coming up, some teams need to retool a lot. Well, I'll say like some of the teams, especially that we expected, the usual suspects, the Seahawks, Green Bay's, the Saints now with a few questionable future predictions in terms of who might be the realm at the quarterback. There's a lot that's going on. So free agency is a hot market this upcoming season. And, this is really where teams could make or break a roster. I want to really know, like, Jelanie, just to kind of get your thoughts on this, what are some of the top free agents you see right now that could make an immediate impact and turn a potential struggling playoff team into an instant contender and ready to take the title?
Well, my first one is Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears. I basically had him listed for 3 potential best fits for him. Number 1 is the Ravens. Like I said in the previous podcast, that the Ravens need a playmaker at the wide receiver position. Their current receivers, Hollywood Brown and Willie Snead, have underperformed. Also to mention that the Ravens were ranked last, I believe, in the NFL in terms of passing. So Lamar Jackson's definitely going to need some help in that sense. So I think he's going to be a perfect fit for there. Also, the fact that the Ravens are coming into the offseason with close to $30 million in cap space. So who knows? Maybe the Ravens will go after him. The second team I have is the Colts, who are projected to have close to $80 million. They just got Carson Wentz.
So you're a quarterback.
We're gonna get to that one. But T.Y. Hilton's 31. He didn't really play that well this year. Zach Pascal, I believe, is also a free agent. So why not give Carson Wentz some more weapons on offense, right? So with all that cap space, who knows what they're gonna do, right? So
always a big question mark in Indianapolis. They always seem like they have enough pieces, but like interesting to see how they actually gel and how it plays out. But no, that's good. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and the last team you guys are gonna laugh at me is the Miami Dolphins. Now, Miami, they spend a lot of money on defense. Remember, defense wins championships. So the fact that they took care of the defense last season, this season they were kind of in the middle of the pack, I believe, in terms of passing, but I can't even pronounce that quarterback's name. I'll just call him Tua. Devontae Parker
Right.
didn't really play that well this year. I mean, he put up some decent numbers. I believe he had like close to 1,000 yards, but only 4 touchdowns. So I think Miami would be a good spot for them, especially the fact that they also have like $40 million in cap space. So I remember Miami was close to making the playoffs. They finished with a 10-6 record. So maybe they just need a little bit of like the extra boost on offense. So that's my take for Allen Robinson. And the next one I have is JJ Watt. So this one, you guys are gonna laugh at me. For JJ Watt, I had him going to the Steelers at number 1 to join his brothers. Yeah. So I think that would be a good ending.
Crazy. That'd be a crazy fit.
Yeah. The second one I have Tennessee. I think they need someone on the edge. Jadeveon Clowney, former Texan, fellow teammate, is also a free agent. So I think that would be a good fit for him as well. And last one I have is Green Bay, for the simple fact that, he went to the University of Wisconsin, so he's close to home. And I think Green Bay needs a little bit of help on defense, especially at that edge spot. So
I like it.
I only have those 2 guys. I was going to talk about Dak Prescott, but he's not going to be going anywhere. He's going to stay in Dallas. And I think Chris Godwin of the Buccaneers is not going anywhere. So, yeah.
Yep, those are some nice ones. I hear that for sure. So definitely looking to see how they play it out. Kenton, what do you think about this one? What who's on the radar? What teams are on the rise coming up? What's going on?
Well, I have my top free agent right now is Shaq Barrett. Football aficionados will often say the most important position in the NFL is the quarterback. They also say that the second most important position in the NFL are the guys that are putting the quarterbacks on their asses, and that's the defensive ends and edge rushers. So definitely Shaq Barrett's going to be he's going to be on the market. He's going to be he's going to be looking to get paid. He's an undrafted free agent, so he hasn't gotten his payday since he's been in the NFL. And he's been leading the NFL in sacks for the last 2 years. So, I mean, he's definitely going to be going out and looking to break the bank. And I just don't know that Tampa Bay can offer him the money that can keep him there. That being said, they also have Chris Godwin, as Jelanie mentioned, who's up for free agency as well. Receivers definitely one of the most sought after positions in the NFL. I mean, receivers are always in demand because they're so interchangeable, I find.
Yeah.
That being said, I mean, there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams that need a receiver. Jelanie's own Philadelphia, they could use a receiver. I mean, it seems like these guys are a revolving door. I mean, you look at their receiving core every couple of games, it's somebody different. You kind of get they need some consistency there.
For sure.
Green Bay I think Aaron Rodgers has been begging for another receiver since definitely since last year when they opted to go out and draft another quarterback. To be stupidest mistake in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. You have a 2-time MVP. I mean, why would you be drafting a quarterback in the first round instead of getting him some kind of support? You know what I mean? But anyway, that's another topic for another
decision making. Sometimes the decisions you make, gotta be better with that.
Definitely. And Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be a free agent this offseason. So definitely there's going to be a demand for him. I don't know if he's the primary go-to receiver, but he's definitely a great number 2. I mean, see seasons with Antonio Brown. I mean, he put up 1,000 yards. He was one of the Pittsburgh's most voted by the team as most valuable player on the squad last year. So he'll definitely be looking to break the bank as well. So those are my top 3 guys in terms of value. I mean, there's a lot of other guys out there. There's a lot of key names out there, but there's definitely those are my top 3 in terms of where I rank them.
Okay.
I'd like to get that being said. I mean, Harris, I know you've been sitting there a little bit. What do you think about the free agency so far? How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, no, I think before we get to the free agency, another thing that's going to be interesting to see is where Desean Watson lands too, with all the drama that's going on too in the offseason. But
absolutely,
big name.
Yeah. I think the biggest one for me is Dak Prescott, especially with what happened last week, where the Dallas Cowboys left him out of the hype video that the marketing team created. I think they're just the feathers are getting ruffled the wrong way. And I think Dak Prescott is going to be a big free agent target for other teams.
Yeah.
And personally, I'd like to see him go to the Bears. I love Chicago Bears, especially on the defensive
Hey.
end. Khalil Mack.
This guy wants everybody to go to the Bears, man.
Because the thing with the Bears, and you guys would agree, they the last 4 or 5 years they've had the championship defense, caliber defense, but the offense is just going nowhere. The offense is like the Eagles; they're like Jelanie's Eagles; they're going backwards. So I think with Mitch Trubisky also a free agent this year. I mean, I don't know if they plan to re-sign him, but if I could see Desean Watson or Dak Prescott end up in Chicago, I think that'd be great. So yeah, Dak Prescott is definitely my top free agent, and then outside of that, of course, what Kenton had mentioned too, Shaquille Barrett. But aside from Shaquille Barrett, there's also Levante David. He is 31, but again, I don't think the Buccaneers can afford to maybe pay him. So he's a big person that could be on the move. Yep. And if you lose Barrett and David, that's two players right from your 11-man defense starting on the Buccaneers that you just lost, just like that. So that could be huge. And then of course the third person I have on my list is J.J. Watt. That's going to be huge. I think
difference. Yeah, he's a difference maker.
He's a difference maker, and I think at this stage in his career, he wants to win. So I think it's going to be important to see where he ends up. I'm not sure where he would go. I'm not sure.
Chicago?
No, I think Chicago. No, because Chicago, we already got the good defense. So I don't think we need him.
Might as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he wants to go somewhere where there's like a real strong chance of winning. So I don't.
Okay, so that's not Chicago. Okay.
No,
sorry.
That's
go ahead.
Not Chicago. So yeah, I gotta go with Dak Prescott, J.J. Watt, Shaquille Barrett, and Levante David. Those are my top 4 free agents to look at. And then I know Watson's not a free agent, but it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up and
how it plays out.
Yeah, how it plays out. I think I'm not sure. I haven't heard much from his camp or where he wants to land or where he wants to go, but I did hear some rumors about maybe San Fran or the Jets to reunite with or to play for Robert Saleh in New York Jets. But yeah, it'll be great to watch. And yeah, that's my take on the free agency for that.
Nice.
One thing I'd like to mention in terms of Desean Watson, which is very important that a lot of people don't realize, is that he's got a no trade clause. So essentially, he can pretty much pick wherever he wants to go. If he doesn't want to go to a certain destination, let's say if somebody's offering, if there's a team that's offering, let's say Houston, everything under the sun, they're offering this big package for Desean Watson. At the end of the day, if he doesn't want to go to that spot, he has a no trade clause where you can say it's not happening.
I did not know that whatsoever. So that's quite the.
That's clutch.
Yeah,
that's definitely.
Yeah, he can choose his own destiny. He can pick where he wants to go. Of course, if he doesn't report for camp, you'll get docked some game checks. But I did not know about that no trade clause. So that's good insight.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
I mean, he's definitely.
Yes, sir.
He's got the hammer in his hand right now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's good to know.
If we can just stay on the topic for 2 minutes, I'd like to ask.
Jelanie,
and then maybe Kenton can follow up too. Do you think the relationship is repairable in Houston? Do you think there's any way they can keep Desean Watson in Houston, or it's too little, too late, and he's out?
I wanna answer that. I think the reason why, and there were reports that he just doesn't trust the franchise anymore. Apparently, he was told that he was going to be kept informed with coaching decisions and GM decisions, and basically they
kept him out the loop.
They kept him out of the loop, and they signed that guy from, I don't know his name. He's from the Patriots. So I don't even know why these guys keep going back to that Patriot tree. I don't know what the deal is, but I mean, they went back to the Patriots and got that guy, and they didn't tell Desean about that at all. So I mean, they pretty much told him, we're gonna do this for you. We're gonna do A for you, but we gave you B, or we're gonna do A for you and we did C. So essentially, I just feel like that's unrepairable because at this point, he feels like
no trust.
Exactly. If I'm your franchise player, I'm the guy who you just gave a big contract to, and you're supposed to make this franchise and cater to what I want, basically, because he's the face of the franchise. He's the most important position of the franchise. That being said, I mean, if he can't trust you, if he can't trust the guys upstairs, then that's unrepairable in my opinion. And for him, the type of person that he is, he's not that type of person. He's a good character guy. That's a lot of people say that in the league about him. He's a good character guy. For him to come out and say that he wants to leave, to me, I just feel like at that point the bridge has already been burned.
And in my opinion, well, we're gonna get to that at all about player ownership and all that stuff. So I'm gonna save that for when the time is right. So
all right.
Definitely. Definitely. You know what?
By the way, Harris, it's good to know that you're a Bears fan. It's good to know.
I like Khalil Mack. I just like.
No, it's okay. Just remember Cody Parkey, 43 yards.
Yeah, the double doink.
All right. Whole nother topic.
The double doink heard around the world.
Oh man, yeah,
Hey.
they need to make a music video for this guy and have a 30-minute hit song because a lot of history, a lot of stuff on the other side of history that this guy is making. But definitely, Super Bowl, NFL, crazy. It's gonna be interesting to see how things play out. And actually leading off to where we were coming from in terms of, athletes nowadays aren't exactly the same. Talent-wise, definitely the bar has been raised. But in terms of the on-field, on-court antics, trying to get your way, how certain players are even protected by that, how certain organizations might make it so that, certain players kind of keep a good reputation where others, kind of get away with, well, not so much get away, but they go and get what they want. And the way the media portrays them is, they're now the villain of the league. So I know you guys all have some great insight on this. I think Harris, you'd be the perfect person to really get us started and what your thoughts are. Where do you see the landscape of, we could say NFL, NBA, but let's just say landscape of all major athletes. We could stick with NBA because we are talking about the NBA right now. Where do you see these players in terms of from now and the type of control they have over management and ownership?
Yeah, actually, I want to start by quoting something that Michael Jordan said in his 2009 Hall of Fame speech. And it's not the exact quote, but he essentially said that players win championships and not ownership. Ultimately, it's the players. Ownership helps. They put together the team, but it's the players who go
Execute
out there
and do it.
And execute it, put their sweat, risk their body, et cetera, and deliver the championship. So do I think today the NBA players have too much power and control? Yes, but by no means do I think that's a problem whatsoever. I think it's completely within the context and they have every right to do so. And ultimately, when a player asks to get traded to his destination, it happens. Dating back to as far as we can go in 2010, when Melo wanted to get to New York, he got to New York. And then most recently, up until last month, Harden wanted to get to Brooklyn. He got to Brooklyn.
By all means, he did it. He pulled it off.
By all means, he did it. Yeah. Well, once you're set on you want to get somewhere, you're going to get there. Anthony Davis did it perfectly with the Lakers, and so on. So I don't have a problem with it, and the reason being is that these players, yes, they're getting paid their game check, which is a lot of money, but at the same time, the owners are the ones making the billions of dollars, right? Some of these wealthy business owners or these NBA owners,
right,
their net worth are well over $500-600 billion, still generating huge profits. And players, yeah, they do ultimately have the power, but technically you can. LeBron James, I'm not sure if he has a no trade clause, but I'm assuming he doesn't. He can wake up tomorrow and be traded. He won't. We're not going to trade him, but it happens all the time.
He could say something controversial. The ownership could just turn on him.
That's right. And Harrison Barnes was traded midway through a game, if I'm not mistaken. He was sitting on the bench. So when that happens, it's like, it's part of business. But then when the player comes out and says, I want to be traded, well, then he's not
good point.
Well upon. Yeah, so I absolutely have no problem. I think players do have a lot of control, and I like it. And I'm absolutely no point for it. And usually when you ask for a trade, it's not because you're trying to be a dick. It's like you've been there, you've been committed, and now it's just not working out. Anthony Davis was in New Orleans for 7-8 years. Same thing with Harden. Same thing with Melo in Denver. Like
they put in their time.
You put in your time, and now it's like, okay, I feel it's not getting done, and I need to seek refuge elsewhere. So that's my take on it. And I know Jelanie was waiting for the segment because I think he has a lot to say on it. So Jelanie, why don't you go ahead and give us your insights here?
Well, Harris, you're only half correct. The thing about it is that I just feel like it's the way professional athletes nowadays conduct themselves is completely, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just unacceptable. The way they conduct themselves off the court is unacceptable. Let's start with not NBA, but let's start with Houston. In NFL with the Texans, Desean Watson. The guy just signed a 4-year, $158 million contract, and then the year after, you're asking for a trade for the specific reason that you didn't get your input on who's the team gonna hire as a general manager. This is what I'm saying. Like, you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game,
Right.
Like what is this? Like, this is ridiculous.
But if he was promised at the start of the contract that he was going to have input on the decision, and then
But they shouldn't have that. They shouldn't have that. They honestly shouldn't have that. I
True.
think it's ridiculous.
But I understand. But then they should have just told him at the time of the contract that we're not going to give you any input decisions, and then maybe he wouldn't have signed it.
There shouldn't be any input decision in any way, shape, or form. And speaking of LeBron James, he's the worst one when it comes to this. I mean, looking at Cleveland, I think
always most hated.
I cannot stand this guy. I mean, when he was in Cleveland, I think when they got swept by when they got swept by the Warriors, I think the year after he asked for quote unquote, I want playmakers. So when they got Dwayne Wade and all these other guys, it didn't work, and then Cleveland made another trade and got a whole another set of new guys. Like, it's just like, come on, like, this is ridiculous. And that lady, I don't remember what her name, but she said it right. Shut up and dribble. And that's what LeBron should do. Just shut your mouth and dribble. I mean, back in the day, no, but look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, okay, perfect example. Back then, I understand it's a different atmosphere now. It's a whole new ball game. Back then, Jordan never complained. He shut his mouth. He was competitive, and the guy won 6 championships. LeBron, I'm not gonna say that I'm not a good player. He's a good player, but the way he conducts himself and the way he does certain things, I'm not going to give him that respect. I will not do that.
No,
I'm sorry, but if LeBron played back then, with the rules back then, there's no way. There's no way he would last in the NBA.
They wouldn't tolerate it.
They would, of course not. Like this, no, but like, come on, like even like I'm sorry, I'm not going to go too much into it, but even like a guy like Anthony Davis, okay, he asked for a trade, but for what? For what really? Because the team wasn't performing. Okay, I get it. But they got in Zion. Why not give it a chance? Right?
Yeah.
Come on, why not give it a chance?
You're saying they need to see it for more than what it is. Like, it's not just a matter of just finding the best opportunity at the right time. It's like, if you want something now, you want it. Like, I'm hearing everything. I'm hearing good points because controls the business of the game. So they're kind of always maybe doing things that aren't always put in the media. But anyway, it's interesting takes on both sides. And I know Kenton is like, I'm interested to see if this is a even split or if you feel like there really is this is tilted in one side more than the other.
Well, if we're looking at from the NFL's I know we're it's more of an NBA segment, but I'm just going to quickly touch on the NFL.
Get the NFL input
no, for sure. You could. It's athletes and NBA as a focus, but I mean, we want to address the topic.
In terms of the NFL, I'll say players have zero control, and I know Jelanie was saying how Desean Watson, he's asking for a trade, this and this and that, and why is he whining? He just got a contract. He's getting paid millions. At the end of the day, he's getting paid millions. But these NFL owners, these are billionaires. So let's not turn away, or let's not focus on the players and say, oh, they're making so much money. Why are they complaining? At the end of the day, these owners are making millions of dollars as well. So I mean, let's not ignore the fact that they can turn around and just cut a player whenever they feel it better suits them, whenever they feel it suits their team, or whenever they feel it's time for them to move on. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if NFL players want to get traded or if they want to move on, for whatever reason, and I think all the power to them. I mean, as is, they have no power, to be honest with you, because the CBA is terrible. And the NFL players have only themselves to blame for that, I will admit, because at the end of the day, these are the guys that are negotiating this CBA, and these are the guys that are agreeing to this CBA to begin with.
Comes back to somebody, right?
Exactly. And that'll tie over to my NBA, my NBA point of view on this is that, yes, players in the NBA have more say. But people forget that the NBA, above all leagues, above all American major sports, is the most star-driven league that we have. You look at NFL and the MLB. Of course, you have your stars in those leagues, but the NBA more predominantly is a star-driven league. And if you look at the commissioner, Adam Silver, he's done a pretty good job at having this partnership with his players.
Yeah.
And having, you know what I mean? Like he's good with his owners, but at the same time, he includes the players and he has this partnership with his players involved as well. Whereas David Stern was kind of like the iron fist. Like he didn't like whatever he said. It was whatever he said. It was how it was going
Right.
down. You know what I mean? So I think that NBA. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so I have a question for you. Sorry to cut you off. So,
good.
what's your take on the whole trade with James Harden? The fact that he threw his teammates under the bus, right? He wanted to go to Brooklyn. He got the trade, man. You, but think about it. Does that make any sense to you? You threw your team under the bus, and then you get to where you want to go on a super team.
Practices, he's not showing up. He's
I'll say this. To me, that's a completely different subject because yes, saying you want to be traded and then the way you go about it are two different things. Now, the way that James Harden went about it, throwing his teammates under the bus and basically making a stink to get his way out of Houston, that I don't agree with. But him going and asking for a trade to me is not an issue. You know, Anthony Davis, if you look at the situation with him, before he even went to the Lakers, a year before he went to upstairs to head office and said, listen, I want to be traded. I want to go to this team. I want to go to the Lakers, whatever the deal was. They refused to trade him to the point where they leaked information and telling people, oh yeah, he wants to be traded. I mean, this information doesn't get leaked out by the players. I mean, it's obviously somebody up in upper management that's leaking this information. You know what I mean? So at the same time, I mean, you know, you're gonna look at the players, but at the same time, you got to look at the owners and GMs as well. These guys are just as much.
They have to get held accountable in some way.
Exactly. They have to have some sort of accountability as well. And as I said, I mean, the CBA, it all comes back to the CBA. You only have as much control as the CBA allows. So if you guys are as owners, they're saying these players have way too much control, they're getting out of hand. At the end of the day, this is the CBA that they agreed to. So that's my take on that.
Harris, any final thoughts? Are you feeling like it basically that's just you see it from that point and like any final thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Kenton in terms of the NFL. You got no say, or you don't really got the much control. But no, other than that, I mean, it's all touching points. And what Jelanie said earlier about LeBron James, as much as I love LeBron, you can't argue it because a lot of people have that same narrative as him. I mean, he likes to dictate the calls, and of course that's one of the bad personas about him. But
a lot of superstars get superstar treatment, so it's like he's just a star amongst stars, but he's shot. You know, he's always been there.
Yeah,
and he's always complaining.
Listen, Jelanie, I understand, but at the same time, like he's an employer, and he doesn't have the tools necessary to perform his job. So he's going to management and saying, if you need me to do my job and play basketball, I need X, X, and X. So that's how I'm seeing it. Yeah, just get it done. I mean, I need to be resourceful at my job, get me the tools I need. So that's my take on it. I know it's a great topic, and Jelanie stands still, and Kenton has his views.
No, I see, I get it, I understand, but it's just at the end of the day, it's like I'm a player, you're the GM, I'm gonna do my job, you do your job, but like I'm not gonna interfere into what you're doing. I don't know, me personally, you know, coming from a coach's perspective, right? I mean, if I was a coach in the NBA, like, I don't know, the players you give me, I coach them. Win or lose, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to say, hey, guys, give me this, this, and this. It just doesn't work that way. My opinion, but.
So now I'll say this. I just want to quickly say a quick point. I mean, to your point, Jelanie, when you say players have their job, GMs have their job, I understand everybody has a role. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're good at that role. Just because you have the job doesn't mean you're good at it. So now as a player, if you feel that, hey, we can do certain things, make certain moves to make this team a championship caliber team or a team that can actually compete for a championship. To me, I don't see an issue with that. And if the player doesn't feel that the GM or upper management isn't supplying or giving the players or doing what they need to do to be competitive, in that case, you know, let me get out, man. At least I'm being respected. At least I'm telling you, you know. I mean, as I said, the way James Harden went about it was a little bit, it wasn't my. I don't agree with it, but at the end of the day, the message is still the same. He wanted to leave, and he was willing to do whatever he could to get out.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, when you go from Harden to John Wall, it's like, really? Like, that's what you give me? Like, really? I see that part, though. I get it, in a sense. So
I have one quick thing I want to throw in here, guys, and it's actually regarding, not so much player control, but like how it kind of ties into player control in terms of where you want to go. But I know, Kenton, being that you don't really have a team in particular, but you know that certain athletes, if they leave and go to another team and they win a championship, you'll respect the fact that their talent got them there and they got the job done. But do you think that the move Kevin Durant made was like respectable, I guess is the best way to put it?
To be honest with you, I do not fault Kevin Durant. I don't look down on him for leaving OKC.
Okay.
I think where people have an issue with Kevin Durant is the fact that he went to a 73-win team in the Golden State Warriors.
Elephant in the room.
Exactly. I mean, I have no problem. I don't know why these cities and these fans they ostracize these players when they leave on free agency. Listen, man, they had a contract. They finished their contract. At that point, I can go wherever the hell I want. You know what I mean?
Right,
if I have a contract with you, if I'm committed to you for 3 years and my 3 years are done, and I don't want to come back to you after 3 years, that's my choice. At the end of the day, I fulfilled my contractual obligation. So I don't see why people hate on LeBron. Oh, he went to the Heat, he created it. Give me a break. Those are all free agents. Chris Bosh was a free agent. He went there as a free agent. LeBron went to Miami as a free agent. So don't, about LeBron ruined the NBA and created this super team. Really, even doing super teams before LeBron went to the Miami Heat. I'm sorry. The Big Three Celtics were a super team before LeBron James went to the Miami Heat. Okay, the LA Lakers when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain,
James Worthy,
and Magic Johnson. James Worthy, Abdul-Jabbar, and Magic Johnson won the LA Lakers. That way, there was a super team. Okay, that's why they went to like 7 or 8 NBA finals out of like 10 years. All right. Don't get me started on the Boston Celtics. Right?
Kenton, you do realize Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen were close to the end of their careers before they started that whole super team thing. Just to let you know, so that there is zero misunderstanding. By the way, since you're talking about LeBron James, okay, I get it. He spent 7 years in Cleveland. They couldn't get it done. They gave him Shaq, Antoine Jameson. I get it. I hear you. I understand you. He went to Miami. He got 2 championships. He left. Oh, here goes the kangaroo, right? Goes to Miami, wins 2 championships, leaves, goes to Cleveland, right? Goes to Cleveland.
Yep, he wins
the championship, gets slapped. Oh, here we go. On the bus again. Goes to LA. Like, this is what I'm saying. The slander. Nobody can ever say that LeBron James is in the same category as Michael Jordan. I'm sorry. Not in terms of
you heard it here first.
Competitiveness. Not in terms of competitiveness. Because LeBron is not competitive. He always looks for the easy way out. That's what he does. That's the kind of player that he is.
The unpopular opinion right here on the Ag Green Show.
Kevin Durant literally slapped him in the finals, and he took his balls and he went home. I'm sorry. So I'm just saying.
I think Jelanie, I think in the year 2016,
I hear you, bro.
You might have been in a coma, but I think you should watch the finals 2016 and then come back to us.
It's okay. You're a LeBron fan. A LeBron fan. It's fine. I hear you. I get it. It's all good, bro.
You know what? We're gonna have to revisit that topic, the Jordan and LeBron debate, because clearly,
I've already got it noted.
There's a discussion to be had here, but we'll get to that on a later show.
Okay, 6-0 in the final. Sorry, keep going.
I appreciate it. I love the info. I love the banter. We're here to give you guys, pure entertainment, but also give you some real factual stuff. And we're giving our opinion, unbiased opinion, unpopular opinion, and moving on. I'm really looking at, I guess on a brighter note here, kind of how the NBA has been shaping out. Still early in the season, coming close to the All-Star break. Definitely not the same NBA season we're used to. So a lot of the teams that we expect to be performing at a high pace or that have played really well in the bubble are kind of getting exposed for, maybe just being a team that's built for those environments. Maybe it was luck, but this is a buzzing topic going on now is why, a lot of contending teams that were there last year, the Milwaukees, the Miamis, in the Western Conference, who do we have? I mean, Dallas is kind of playing all right. Denver's been playing good as of late, but still not having the same fire as they did last time. So kind of to start off here with Kenton, NBA, different season, conferences have gotten better. Some conferences have gotten a little weaker. Different teams have upgraded, but, the teams we expect that are supposed to be there aren't there. What are your thoughts? What are you seeing out there?
Well, I mean, to lead off, I mean, I definitely think that there's a shift of power in the NBA. There's a lot of Eastern Conference teams that are really starting to get up there and starting to develop in terms of being those teams that can compete for championships. That being said, I mean, if you look at teams like Charlotte and the Chicago Bulls, these guys are sitting, I believe, at right now they're 8-9 and they're battling for a playoff spot. I mean, if you were to ask me after the draft, beginning of the season, where I thought these teams would end up right now, I'll tell you at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. You know what I mean? So the fact that these guys are in the playoff hunt right now is rather impressive. I mean, Charlotte's a young team. They brought over Gordon Hayward, but aside from that, I mean, they have the same guys from last year.
Yeah.
They drafted LaMelo Ball, but they're playing good. Terry Rozier looks like he's starting to play to the potential that obviously the Charlotte Hornets saw in him when they brought him over from the Celtics and gave him that big contract. So it's good to see. Zach LaVine is balling out of his mind right now.
Yep.
This guy is definitely should be an All-Star, and I will be upset if he's left off the All-Star ballot. So definitely, Chicago Bulls are a big surprise.
They got the.
I mean, I can't even tell. There you go. And to be honest with you, with the Chicago Bulls, I can tell you maybe 5 players on that team. I don't know I can't even tell you the rest of the roster on that team. I don't know who the coach is either. So I mean, the fact that these guys,
Hoiberg, I think. Is it Hoiberg?
No, Hoiberg's gone. Hoiberg's gone. Yeah, I don't know who the coach is there. To be honest with you, I know it's next to nothing about the Chicago Bulls with the Bulls, but they're playing really well right now. I'm really surprised at what they're doing. So definitely shout out to them for that. And in the West, Utah, they're playing well, but I feel like
not sustainable.
Exactly. I feel like eventually, they'll come back to earth and they'll finish like 6th or 7th in the West.
But Kenton, can I just interrupt for a second?
Go at it.
Don't you kind of get the feeling? Because I get the same feeling with the Jazz that they're kind of like those 2015 Hawks. 60 wins. There
you go.
No, but reality though, like I'm not trying to like be like I'm being serious though. Like they're a good regular season team.
Yeah.
Which they're going to probably hit 50 wins, 60 wins. Well, maybe not 60 because it's a 72 game season, but they'll be up there. They'll be a good number 1 seed. But then come playoff time, LeBron James is gonna send them home.
Hey.
Well, you know what? Boy, to be honest with you, you're giving them more credit than I am because I don't even think they're gonna finish number 1 at the end of the season. Okay. I think it's only a matter of time, as I said before, the wheels fall off and they're back in the 6th or 7th. And then the proper chain of command.
Maybe top 5. They're a top 5 team in the West because they have depth. Their core has stayed a lot the same over the years. That's the one thing I can give the Jazz is that, you kind of know what to expect, but they're going to give you good production and they're just building their confidence. So, but it's interesting. Their track record is another thing.
Yeah. I mean, as Harris said, it's only a matter of time. Let's say they do finish first in the West, they're going to get to the playoffs and somebody's going to bounce them out in the first round or second round anyway. So, I mean, they're not.
No love for Utah here.
No one's looking ahead to the NBA playoffs and saying, look out for the Jazz. Let's just leave it at that.
It's not 1997. This is not 97, 98. Like,
oh, man.
Boy. Aside from that, I feel like also the Phoenix Suns are playing really well as well. Chris Paul is definitely it's like Chris Paul effect, man. This guy leaves, he goes to OKC. OKC's a 5th seed team. He leaves OKC, goes to the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are from a 10th place to a 5th seed team.
True point guard.
Definitely.
Amen.
True point guard, true leader. I guess that speaks to why he's the president of the NBAPA or whatever that is. So I mean, guy's a class act, definitely a Hall of Fame player, and it's good to see that he's contributing. Through on his in his later years, I guess you can say. I mean, those are my top teams that are surprising me right now. Looking at the standings, I'm kind of surprised that the Dallas Mavericks are sliding. Well, they're at 10th place right now, so I mean, they're definitely underachieving in terms of where we had them ranked prior to the start of the season, preseason. I guess
a lot of protocol for them too. From what I've been seeing, they've been dealing with a lot of guys in and out of the lineup, not even for injuries, just like COVID protocols and health standards the NBA is trying to uphold with making sure guys, if and there are certain situations for sure.
Right. No, I mean, it's definitely it should be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. Sure. Definitely. What do you think, Harris? Let's get your opinion on this.
Yeah. So in starting with the Western Conference, I think my big surprise there has been the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, I mean, last year didn't make the playoffs. I think it was a streak of 20 or 21 straight years where that finally came to an end. And here they are sitting in, I mean, I don't got the standings open in front of me, but I think the 6th seed, 6 games over 500, give or take. And, the leading players, DeMar DeRozan, DeJounte Murray. So that's really been a shock to me. I thought especially last year when they didn't make the playoffs. That would kind of be like a rebuild or just kind of like taking a step back where they would just look to maybe play the lottery or not play the lottery, but they wouldn't be in the thick of the Western Conference. So they're playing well, and obviously they got arguably probably the best coach in the game today right now is Red Popovich.
Yes,
So
sir.
the X's and O's are all figured out. So
And that
come
system,
of course,
Popovich has, doesn't matter who's there,
who's
he's
there? That's right.
performing. Yeah.
So there you and this is a perfect example of it. You got them sitting at 16-11, and they're thriving. So that's my surprise in the Western Conference,
Got
and
you.
then Eastern Conference. I gotta say the Chicago Bulls and also the New York Knicks. Both
Yes,
teams
sir.
yeah, no, but honestly, start of the season, um, if you told me, 30 games into the season that the Knicks would be sixth and the Bulls would be eighth, I'd make a bet with you and say no, they wouldn't. So I don't think anybody would kind of suspect this, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from both teams. To be honest, haven't watched Chicago that much. I do watch the Knicks games, so I'm
Mm,
liking what I'm seeing there. I think Julius Randle is, like Kenton mentioned, Zach LaVine is All Star. Julius Randle is All Star worthy for sure, in my opinion. I'll be
yep. Yep.
shocked if he is not listed on the ballot come Tuesday for the reserves.
Yep.
Especially when we All Stars, you got to reward winning. You reward winning. That's what the All Star game is about. So Zach LaVine should be there. Julius Randle
That's it.
should be.
That's the difference is the team. If the team is doing well and you're performing, that's the ultimate factor.
That's yeah, for sure. And I'll be damn surprised if next week the reserves come out and somehow Russell Westbrook is on the ballot and Zach LaVine isn't. Like, we don't always want to see the star power. We get it. He's a name brand. He's a superstar. But if you're not having a good season, you got to give it to these young bloods who are out there
Right.
performing. And most importantly, you're winning. You're in a position to do well. So that's who I got in the East: Chicago and New York, and then out in the West, I got San Antonio. Jelani, what about you? Let's hear from you.
Hmm.
Yeah, basically, I had the Knicks. That was my surprising team.
Thank you, sir. Good to
Number
hear.
one, Tom Thibodeau, man, like that guy really turned things around there.
For sure.
I like the move that they got Derrick Rose. That's going to be a good addition for them. He's
Yeah.
much healthier now than the first time he came into New York back in 2016. So,
Second chance, man.
yeah. But like Kenton said, I think back then it's like the Knicks are good now, but it's only a matter of time until the wheels fall off the wagon. So I don't think we should put too much hype into the whole New York Knicks per se. But as it goes right now, like they're playing well right now.
For sure.
Like Julius Randle's putting the team on his back. So
The Knicks are on the rise, but still have a lot to prove. But they are showing that they're developing a culture. When you go to New York, it was a lot of like the appeal of playing in New York. And now they want to make it like when you come to New York, like kind of back in the days in the 90's, like, that Knick team, it was a dogfight, especially if Jordan, Reggie Miller, any of these guys, top teams in the East, to go to New York, it was a dogfight. You're going through guys like Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing, John Starks. He might throw a jab at
getting
you
roughed
if it
up.
gets crazy.
Yeah. You're getting
Oh no,
beefed
sorry,
up.
Chris Childs. Chris Childs was throwing jabs.
Childs.
John,
Oh
the
man.
Knicks are trying to get that grittiness back. Definitely a lot of stuff going on in upper management, and that will ultimately decide if things could stay where they're at and continue to improve, or if it's going to be more of a internal affair and they're kind of hurting themselves more than other teams are exposing their flaws.
Yeah.
Any other last thoughts anyone would like to say
Oh,
regarding?
yeah, Mike. Sorry, I
Jelani,
forgot to
sorry, go
mention.
ahead.
I forgot to mention my team in the West, Golden State Warriors, sitting at number 8. For a team that, lost Klay Thompson, lost Durant a couple years ago. The fact that they're still able to, put
They're
up,
competing.
still compete. It's crazy.
But
Steve
Jelani,
Kerr.
are you really surprised? If I just may ask, are you really surprised that they're sitting in seventh or eighth? Because Curry is good on his own. Without Clay, you still got
Yeah.
Draymond. So is that really coming to you as a shock, or did you think they wouldn't even be in the playoff on period?
I didn't think they would be in the playoff period. I
Okay.
mean, just
Mm.
just that Draymond is not the same Draymond, right? So it's
Yeah.
just a lot of stress on Curry, and he's injury prone himself, so it's just a lot of stress all around, right? But they got some nice pieces. I like Wiseman. I like Looney. I like Oubre, Wiggins.
too. Can't forget
Yeah,
about the Canadian kid.
yeah.
Yep,
So
big
they
ups.
got a solid foundation there. So
Cool.
yeah.
All right, guys. So you
I
know
think
what?
that
Yeah, go
sorry.
ahead, Kenton.
I was just gonna say, in terms of the Warriors, I really feel like the most important player on the team is Stephen Curry. As long as he's on the court, I feel like the Warriors always have a chance. And if you look at the players around him right now, I mean, yeah, Draymond's there. Actually, I mean, Draymond, for all intents and purposes, Draymond is having a much better season than he did last year. Having
Mhm.
Stephen Curry back in the lineup, his assists are back up. He's pretty much running the offense right now. They bring in a guy like Kelly Oubre who can, he had a pretty good season last year in Phoenix before he got injured.
Mhm.
So they got the pieces around them. I think at this point, the reason why they're sitting so low, I mean, not low, but I mean, they could be, seventh or sixth place. I think the reason why they're not in one of those higher positions is because it took them a while to get, acquainted with each other. A lot of different pieces coming in, a lot of pieces coming back, and re-implementing themselves with the team. I think that may have contributed to the slow start, but I think very easily these guys can finish in fifth or sixth by the end of the season.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's interesting NBA season we got. I'm looking to see how it all plays out. Still early. There's a lot of things that are affecting teams, so it's going to be interesting to see how they manage that, especially with load management, health protocols, injuries in and out. We're going to see how that all fares. So now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, want to thank you guys still for tuning in. We are going to get to our final topic, which I'd like to call 3 decades of hoops. So the 90s, 2000s, and the 2010s. We all kind of got to witness some of the greatest athletes of our time playing during those times. And this is really where I want to hear you guys and kind of get like a bit of nostalgia, but at the same time, like players that maybe didn't have the same opportunity as athletes today to be able to say, yo, I want to go to Brooklyn, or I want to go to LA, and they just have the ability of doing it. I'll start with you, Harris. I think we're gonna go like from the 90s, 2000, 2010. Just if you could let the viewers know, like, who are some of your favorite players during that time, and also as another caveat is we're gonna at the end of it make a all-time starting 5 coming from those 3 eras, the 90s, 2000s, and the 10s. So love to hear what you think about this.
Yeah, for sure. First, just for the records, when the '90s was happening, still like 7 or 10. So I'd be lying if I said I remembered. But of course, watching highlights, going back to see how ball was in the '90s, Jordan goes without saying. I mean, that's just a given. I think all of us grew up
Ultimate
on
Jordan in the 90s,
Jordan.
yeah.
But yeah, outside of Jordan, one of my favorite players of all time is Grant Hill. I loved watching Grant Hill, especially in that 94, 95 up until 2000. He was great. Obviously, we know what happened with the injuries. That's just unfortunate. But even at the peak of his career, 25 points a game, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, close to it, almost like flirting with a triple double on a regular basis. And I went back and I've seen a lot of his games and his footage, and he just had the speedness on both ends of the court. And later on in his career, late 30s, I mean, obviously wasn't the same player, but when they were battling with Kobe, Phoenix, and the Lakers,
still competitive, yeah.
Still competitive, yeah. In those 09, 010 series when they were battling with the Lakers, Grant Hill was
Crazy
a good defender.
series,
Yeah, crazy series. So I think in the 90s, I mean, outside of Jordan, if people ask me who was some of the go-to
top favorites,
I would have to definitely throw down Grant Hill for
like
the 90s.
it.
Yeah. And going towards the 2000s, I got to name 2 players specifically. I think Kobe and Duncan. If you look at just between 2000 and 2010, those 2 players went to the finals every year except 06, which was the exception of Dirk Nowitzki. So
oh my God, Dirk.
So outside of that decade, I mean, Kobe and Duncan ruled it. I mean, it was just great to watch, and overall, Kobe in that decade, 5 championships won. Tim Duncan, I mean, he did win one in the 90s, close to the end of the season, but also his bulk of his championships came in the 2000 era. So those are my picks for that.
Okay.
And then in the 2010s, I know Jelanie's not going to like to hear it, but I'll be surprised if he
3
gets
letters.
yeah, LBJ. I mean, if you haven't clicked into LeBron yet in the 2010s, something's wrong. You're just not appreciating the game of basketball, and you're just hating on LeBron. We don't need to go over the whole stats. I mean, everyone knows here, but 2010. I mean, 8 straight finals, the 4 championships he's got. Just consistency at 36 years old, playing, dominating. He's in the MVP talks, putting up the numbers. His body's in prime shape. He's just, these Giannis in the All-Star game last year, they were going one-on-one. LeBron was getting the upper hand. When him and Kawhi, bang it out, LeBron's getting the upper hand right now. Right now, Giannis said it best last year. He won the MVP for the 2nd straight year, but he said the best player right now is LeBron James, and the 2010s is being dominated by LeBron. So that's my take. And then I think at the end, when everyone's kind of giving the view, we'll come back with the all-time starting 5 for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, love it. Those guys made such a difference. Definitely like those picks. We'll swing over to Jelanie on this one. So give us your take, Jelanie. 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Who were your top guys?
So I agree with Harris in the 90s. Michael Jordan, in my opinion, the GOAT. But the problem is that as much as Jordan was great in terms of scoring the ball, we forget that Jordan was also great defending, and he was like one of the best defenders. So I'm gonna have to go with Michael Jordan, obviously, like I said, in the 90s. In the 2000s.
Sorry, Jelanie, can you give me sorry if you don't mind, can you give me one more player outside of Jordan, if you had one? Just curious, because I know we all love Jordan, but like who else did you like in the 90s?
David Robinson.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon.
All right.
The big bands.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, man. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. It's all good, brother. In the 2000s, I'm gonna go with Shaq. Greatest center of all time. The way the game was played back then, and pounding the ball in the post. Nobody could stop a guy that's 7'1", 301 pounds. But that's what's missing in today's game.
Most dominant player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely
don't got that dude, of course.
Yeah, and in the 2010s, sorry, I'm not gonna say LeBum. I'm gonna have to go with Stephen Curry. Greatest shooter of all time. Wow. The guy could just shoot from anywhere on the court. Anywhere, literally could shoot from anywhere. Steph Curry is just a phenomenal shooter. Can't say the same about LBJ, but I'm gonna have to go with Steph Curry.
I want to jump in for a quick second, Jelanie, and this is really for you. If you had a chance to build a franchise and you had a choice of drafting Curry or LeBron, I'm interested to know who you would pick and why.
Steph Curry.
Okay.
Because the way he's a team.
He's the right player, piece you need for a team to win.
Player.
Regardless. Okay. All right.
The type of guy that wouldn't cause a headache. He's not gonna, be yapping in my ears about I want this, and like it's some laundry list of players that he wants. Like, you know what I mean? So, if you're asking me personally, I would choose Steph Curry.
Okay.
And even if I had the chance even if I had the chance to sign LeBron, I wouldn't want him. So.
Wow.
All right. Well, you know what? We're here to give unbiased, unpopular opinions. Some people see it differently, and you heard it here first, right? Steph Curry can't take away what Steph Curry's done, but definitely, I know a lot of people that are wouldn't mind having a guy like LBJ commanding ship. Kenton, I think you're about due to give us some takes, and then we're gonna go to all-time starting 5 here, guys. So, Kenton, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely if you're looking at the 90s, everybody is going to say Jordan, but I wanted to, exactly. He's there by default. I kind of wanted to just look at players that I really like personally growing up. Not necessarily the best players of their time, but, guys that I looked up to and try to emulate my game around them as I grew up as a youngin. So in the 90s, I'll have to go with, and he kind of spilled over into the 2000s as well, but I know he came in the mid 90s, and that's Allen Iverson. He was one of my favorite players growing up. Everyone was rocking the cornrows, and one of the reasons why I liked him so much is because he was so relatable. A 6-foot guy. He was athletic,
right.
But he was
on paper he was 6 foot, but like that's it's a whole nother thing.
There you go. There you go. So I mean, it was so relatable in a sense that, like, yeah, it's the guy, with his cornrows and his baggy jeans and his big jerseys. That's kind of what I was into at the time. And he wasn't this, like, I guess you can say this monster of a human being. Like, he was just like a normal dude, 6 feet, 165 pounds, wet, and just he just played
Playing
hard.
with heart, playing with heart. Yeah, all day, all night.
Exactly. So that's my pick for the 90's, and then if I go to the 2000s, it's two players that I really I liked in that decade, and the first one was Jason Kidd. I really was a big Jason Kidd fan, especially when he went to the New Jersey Nets. He was one of the guys that I really looked up to and was watching a lot, followed him a lot as well. And within that same decade, I have to say Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's definitely one of my favorite players of all time. I mean, you guys know. I mean, I was a big Dwayne Wade fan growing up.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So those two guys were significant for me, anyways, because like as I said, I usually look at guys that I can relate to, and those were two relatable guys. I mean, Jason Kidd was not like super athletic, but he had a good. He did well at just getting other guys involved, and later on in his career, he was able to shoot the three. Or shoot the outside shots, and Dwayne Wade was just, he was just play with heart, man. Play with heart.
Definitely relatable. So you're basically you're claiming your game as a Jason Kidd, Dwayne Wade mixture, because these players are relatable. So I'm just making sure I know that you feel like I was basically pulling off some Dwayne Wade, Jason Kidd type stuff.
Definitely, man. Especially, you had Dwayne Wade in those earlier years, rookie years, when he pretty much took the Miami Heat to to the playoffs, man. And this guy was making noise as a rookie. That
was the best.
I remember those days pretty vividly.
Sorry, just to touch on Kenton's point, I think Dwayne Wade's 2006 finals performance today is most I'm not gonna say underrated, because I just don't feel it's talked about. But it's one of the greatest performances. I mean, you remember they're down 0-2, they're down 82-70 with 6 minutes left in game 3, and Wade takes over and drops, I think, 16 points in that final 6 minutes. And then the rest is history. They don't lose another game, and he's named finals MVP. And if you go back and look at the footage from those games where he took over, this guy is and he's not even doing it by shooting 3-pointers. I mean, he's doing the fadeaways. He's
mid-range.
Mid-range, everything. So I think, that is one of the all-time great finals performances for sure, hands down.
Absolutely. And then in the 2010s, I'm gonna have to go with my guy LeBron James. To do what he's doing. The longevity. It's incredible, man. There has been no other player to do what he's doing at his age. So kudos to that, man. This guy takes care of his body. He never cheated the game. As I said, we're gonna talk about that Jordan LeBron debate, but as I said, LeBron never cheated the game. He always gave 100%. Good guy on and off the court.
On defense?
You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
On and off the court. You know what I mean? Let's not get into that. All right. But man, I love LeBron, man. You got to respect him, and I really find it's bad. I find it's terrible when people don't appreciate it. Right now, we're witnessing history. We're witnessing history right now.
We're witnessing history. Absolutely.
I want to ask Jelanie a question. Jelanie, I know you don't like LeBron. That's fair. I get that.
I didn't say. It's just it's how he conducts himself.
Okay, I understand that. But I just want to ask you: do you think he's a good basketball player? That's all.
He's a good player. Don't get it wrong. He's a good player, but the way he conducts himself is he's.
No, that's fine. Okay, I just want to make sure you do acknowledge that he's a good player. I thought maybe you're one of those delusional guys.
No, not delusional. He's I wouldn't say top 5 or top 10, maybe top 15 in the NBA.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Sorry,
and then he's just a good guy on and off the court, man. Model citizen, model basketball player. I mean, if you want to look at the blueprint for a perfect career, so far he's done that, man. So I mean, hats off to LeBron, and I prefer to give people their flowers while they're still alive, and that's why I like to appreciate what I'm witnessing right now, because this guy's been in the game since 2003, man. We're 2021, you guys. You know what I mean? This is 18 years, man. This, you know what I mean? So you know how many people have lived and died since LeBron came into the league? And this guy's still doing this thing, man. So I love what he's doing, and I appreciate it, man. I just, it's crazy, man. The league's not gonna be the same when he leaves, man. And I'm just enjoying it while he's here. So
it'd be better, actually. But sorry.
All right.
Hey, man, that's all good. We're gonna get into our top 5 all time. So we're all gonna go around. I got a top 5 too, but I'll kind of finish it off. Harris, we started with you, so we'll kind of get you back on this.
Sure.
So top 5 all time between those 3 decades. I know a lot of people like to just put any as the top 5, but we're just gonna do it this time as those 3 decades. So let's
Yeah.
hear what you got.
Yeah. So before we begin, I want to my starting five is I'm taking one player at each position, so you won't see two shooting guards, and I'm going to take one almost from every era that I can.
Okay. Cool.
So starting with the point guard position, from the 90s, I got to go with John Stockton. That would be my point guard. So
Okay,
then in the
okay.
2000s for my shooting guard, I'm going to go with Kobe. And then at the small forward position in the 2010, I'm going to go with LeBron as my small forward.
Hey.
And then in my power forward position, again from the 2000s, I'm going to go with Duncan. And then at my starting center, what Jelanie had said, you got to go with Shaq Diesel from the 2000s. So I got 3 players from the 2000s era, and then 190s in Stockton, and then the 2010 LeBron. So Stockton, Kobe, LeBron, Duncan, and Shaq. That would be my all-time starting.
I like that.
5, and I think it would be a pretty lethal combination. So that's my thing. And I would love to put. I mean, I know Iverson was a shooting guard, maybe to put him as a point guard. But I think even though he was drafted in 90s, I think he's more of a 2000s player. So that's why it was kind of hard for me to overlook him. But I had to put Stockton in there for looking at position by position.
Yeah, for sure. People overlook Stockton all the time, man. This guy's all up there in the records. So
yeah,
he's a good. He did a lot for Utah and did a lot for himself.
Yeah, and if you're just looking for someone to dictate the game and run the offense, I think just with the all time from one era, with listing a point guard and shooting guard, that's who I would go with. So let's hear Jelanie's take, because I'm sure he's gonna leave LeBron off the list. So
you know me very well, Harris. You know me very well. Okay, so for my starting 5, I got 4 players actually from the 90s, and I got 1 player.
Take your best guys. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, from 1 guy from the 2010s. So at point guard, I'm gonna go with Steph Curry. I mean, like I said, the guy can shoot from anywhere, right? So can't deny that. Shooting guard, I'm going with the GOAT. The only GOAT, by the way, Michael Jordan. Just I had to put an emphasis, because you guys are a little delusional there. So
hey, GOAT talk coming soon on the Ant Green Show. Believe you that.
And at small forward, I'm gonna go with the best two-way forward in the game, Scottie Pippen. He was good offensively and defensively, unlike LeBron. At power forward, I'm gonna go with my boy Kevin Garnett.
KG,
the wingspan on this guy. He was just so shifty, man. This guy, the way this guy would move, it's unbelievable. But I will agree with Harris. At center, I'm gonna go with Shaq, greatest center of all time.
Okay, I got you down here as Curry, MJ, Scottie Pippen, KG, and Shaq.
Wait, did I mention LeBron? Oh, okay, no, I didn't. Okay, go ahead.
And you know what? It's funny, Rahshawn, as you're writing it down, too. I'm writing it down too, just comparing, because I think it's fun. I'm just looking at Jelanie's team,
seeing how it matches up.
Pippen, KG, and Shaq. So I'm curious to see what Kenton has come out in his top 5. Yeah.
Kenton.
All right. So my top 5, starting 5. We'll go in by position here. I'm gonna pull a rabbit out of the hat, and I'm gonna put LeBron at the PG because he's listed as a PG. All right. So LeBron at the PG,
okay,
6'9", 270. All right. LeBron James PG. I'm gonna go Dwayne Wade at the shooting guard.
Oh God.
I'm gonna go Larry Bird at the 3.
Oh.
All right. I'm gonna go with my guy. Whoa. Actually, I like KG too. He was good during his time. I'm gonna go with KG at the 4. To me, he's one of the best power forwards of all time. I think he's better than Tim Duncan, to be honest with you. I mean, I know the rings, I know the titles don't say that, but I mean, in terms of, I feel like Kevin Garnett was the first kind of stretch big. You know what I mean? Because he could shoot the 3. He
Defend,
was agile,
everything.
Exactly, he could defend, and he was quick enough, agile enough to basically take you off the dribble. So I'm definitely he was definitely one of the guys that I looked up to. Well, not looked up to, but I mean I definitely liked his game growing up. I
Respected
mean, he
his game.
definitely exactly definitely respected his game growing up. And then I think the universal center is definitely Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, if you look at his reign of dominance, especially during his time with the Lakers, I mean, it's almost unmatched. I mean, you could definitely throw Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there in terms of one of the greatest centers. But man, Shaq,
Dominance.
this guy changed the game. It's crazy how I mean, people won't believe. You know, in 20 years from now, people won't believe that people like there used to be a hack of Shaq when they used to just literally foul this guy to keep him from getting the ball you know what I mean, in the middle of the game. So definitely when you have that kind of when you have that reputation that precedes you, you definitely have to give him his respect. So
yeah, Shaq is undoubtedly the most dominant center out there, and it's hard to keep him off your starting five. I'm going to give you guys my starting five here. It's going to come a few little oddballs, but Kenton, to recap, so you had LBJ, Wade, Bird, KG, and Shaq?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got that. And the reason we're writing this down, we're going to make sure that in the future we're going to be able to do some comparisons. But to give you guys my my starting five. So at the point guard, not listed as a point guard, but I would put him as a point guard. I'm going to actually have to go with Allen Iverson. The reason why I want to have him at the point guard position is because you could still run the offense through him, but he's, especially when he was playing in Georgetown, I believe he actually did come up as a point guard, but then realized in the NBA that he had a good shot and he was able to get that mid-range shot off. So kind of a little bit of a oddball, but I mean, he's a shooting guard, point guard listed. So I'm going to go with AI at the point. I'm not going to argue about who is the GOAT, but I'm going to go with my GOAT, which is MJ. You can't deny it that he, there's nobody else that you'd want to have the ball in their hand to get a shot off at the end of a game. I'm sorry. I'm not here to debate who would take that shot. I'm just saying in my books, I'm giving it to MJ. At the small forward, I'm actually going to go with Tracy McGrady. Prime Tracy McGrady, no injuries, Orlando Magic, one leg sleeve. I think the arm, the elbow band, locked in T-Mac, him and MJ. Yeah. That'll be a whole bunch of fun. I gotta go with KG. The grittiness. He's gonna get in your ear defensively. He doesn't care if he scores 3 points or 17 points. He's a dog. He's a dog out there in the court. You got to have as many of those as you can. Another oddball for the center. I'm actually going Hakeem Olajuwon. I don't know how I would deal with Shaq.
Dream.
We will definitely defensively figure out a way to just get him out the paint. Maybe KG will take his turns, but even KG, he might be too brittle. No hate on KG, but just you don't want to put him up against a guy like Shaq. But I have Hakeem Olajuwon. This guy, his footwork, in terms of what he can give you offensively, he's long. Hakeem the Dream. A lot of people don't give him enough props. So that's my starting five: AI, MJ, T-Mac, KG, and Olajuwon. So, anybody with any final thoughts on like some picks? Anybody, anything anybody wants to comment on, or are we gonna?
No, I just really like. I think your picks were great, but I was really surprised at the T-Mac thing. But then again, I think he's overlooked because I mean, so many great players. T-Mac, I think, obviously we love his scoring and his dunks and everything he did. So I think that's a real good, real gutsy pick. I was not expecting to hear that name come up in the starting fives. Yeah.
That's the roster I came up with. And what I think this part now is what I want to get out of the viewers that are tuning in. I want you guys to let us know, who would you choose as a starting five? I could go on and recap and I'll have it in the show notes, all of our picks, but I want you guys to give us a starting five and let us know who are some of your favorite players, and also who would you match up with us as a starting five coming from the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. interested to hear everybody's take. But you know what? A lot of these players, timeless players, Hall of Fame players, happy to have witnessed the history that they brought to the game. And we're still witnessing history as we are going through the NBA season. So a lot to see, a lot to look forward to. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes another installment of the Ant Green Show Sports Podcast. Today we spoke about some Super Bowl, NFL free agency, couple teams on the rise, what's going to happen with some trending topics, a few big names, and then we went to the NBA with player ownership, management, how that all works out, how the players had their control, or if the owners are really the ones with the control and should they be looked at the same way. Also with some NBA surprise teams and teams that are underachieving. And then we went into the 3 decades of hoops. We have Harris, we have Kenton, we have Jelanie. Their socials are there. Definitely make sure to check them out whenever you possibly can. And always make sure to follow The Ant Green Show. If you're a new viewer, subscribe today at The Ant Green Show on all platforms. We'll be back for another installment where we're going to go into maybe a little bit of every sport, depending on what's happening. Otherwise, we're definitely going to be covering the ones that we love most, which is the NBA and the NFL. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. And until next time, stay blessed. Take care. Peace.